Good afternoon, promised ones, my viewers, my readers, my confidants. I'd like to welcome you tonight to my kitchen. And tonight I'm going to be doing a segment called Bon Appetit. If you recall, and some of you may, and some of you may not, it's the cooking segment of my Pinky Promise show. Okay, so tonight I'm cooking some smothered pork chops. I just did a full intro without my mic on, so y'all didn't see me put the pork chops in. Okay, but that's okay. They're right here. They're frying in an older pan because it's best to fry things in older pots. Of course, I have new, nice, beautiful blue and red Rachel Ray pots, but I like to fry things that I'm going to smother in an older pot because it works well with the grease and it works well with the crust and it works well with the actual meat. Okay. Um, I have my purple apron on and I have purple on. Okay. I'm trying to do this in two segments, 20 minutes, because I think my friend is coming over tonight. I don't know. He sounds a little inebriated on the phone. So I don't know if this is going to go well. You know what I mean? He's a YN and he's very antagonistic. So I don't know. Last night it didn't work. I'm hoping for today. But if it doesn't go down, it's okay. You know what I mean? I ain't sweating nothing today. Okay? So I have a yellow onion, which I'm going to cut up right now while the two pork chops are cooking. And I have Summer Crisp Green Giant Niblets, which is going to go with the rice and the pork chops. And every time I cook smothered pork chops, corn and white rice brings it together so well, especially with the caramelized onions in the smothered pork chops. Okay? So, right quick, I am going to. Okay, I have a brand new chopping board, right? It's stainless steel. I got it from Temu, but now I can't locate it. Okay? Yes, I can. I'm lying. Okay? See, when you put stuff where it belongs, sometimes you can't find it. Okay, I have this great. It's from Temu, and I'm gonna get all colors because the ones I had were just gone. They were wasted from Walmart. Okay, so I'm gonna take a big knife, one that I diced and chopped. I got these from Sherry Shepherd Show. Okay, I meant to get the leopard ones, but these came, you know. And if you want to come and watch how I cut this onions, but I'm sure people know how to cut onions, right? I'm trying to watch my time. Okay. Okay, I cut and slice. Okay. I love onions, especially when they're caramelized. Okay, and what I'm going to do with these, right? I'm just going to make little round pieces, but I like my onions cut thin. I don't really like thin onions. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I get this in. I always do the onions while I'm cooking the pork chop. You know, it's just my little idiosyncrasies that I've been doing for years. You know what I mean? But yeah, cut up this onion. We're gonna use the whole onion for this dish, okay? Because sometimes the onions get cooked too much and then you don't see them at the end. But with this particular dish, we're going to see them at the end. Okay? Let's check on the actual pork chops. And sometimes with pork chops, right, you have to put a slit in it. You put a slit in it almost to the middle, from the end to the middle, so it cooks thoroughly through and it doesn't start sticking to the pot. Because sometimes if you do pork chops wrong, they become a disaster and only one side is really cooked. Okay? So these looking good. They're looking good over there. Because I've done this 50, 11, dozen million times. And my grandmother uses those words. So yeah. Okay? Those are cooking. And I'm going to just put my corn on in a small pot. You know, just to have something to do while the main dish is cooking. Okay? So I'm going to get another pot out of here. All right? I want a smaller pot. Okay, I found a smaller pot. Okay? No, I don't want this pot. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Okay? So I'll take this pot. Even though it's a little bigger, it's also a Rachel Ray, but I like these pots for my veggies. Okay? All right? I have You know, I have the remote control that swivels my tripod. I just haven't used it yet. Like, when am I going to use it? That way I don't have to keep manually doing this, you know? Okay. I have my little electric can opener, which is Farberware. Because Farberware used to be the go-to cutlery I use, and dishes, cookware. But since, you know, they have so many other great brands, I'm kind of stuck on Rachel Ray. Paula Dean called Black People Black, so she ain't been selling pots since, okay? But yeah, all right. Opening the corn. Wash off the top of the steel pot, stainless steel, you know, can, because you don't know what factory it went, what boat it was on, who touched it, what fell. So it's always good to wash your tops off. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Niblets doesn't vacuum packed, doesn't have much juice like Del Monte whole kernel corn, so it's just enough. And the reason I buy these small pots, because it's only me, you know, and I live alone, and you know, I make 1-2 serving dishes. You know what I'm saying? One for tonight, and then one for tomorrow. Okay, so I will put this here. I will add some parquet butter because I'm back on parquet. I was on Blue Bonnet, but someone pointed out to me that Blue Bonnet is hard to melt, and they were right. So I went back to parquet. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little butter. This is enough. This is a tablespoon. That's enough, right? Put this back, and I'm gonna sprinkle a little sugar on my corn. Do, 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 do. Right? The butter, the sugar, salt, and the pepper. Okay. Come on, let's see. Here's my pepper. And my salt, I can always find that in my room. My friend is acting like a total idiot. And I brought the Gouda out. I brought the heavy artillery out for dude. And he acting up. He acted up last night too. But this tonight, he's drunk. I already know what it is with him. Because he called me back 3 times, stumbling his words. That means he hennied up. He been around the corner with his friends, and he ain't in no condition for me. Okay? So that's not a bad thing that he's not coming, you know? And who knows? He still might. But I don't think we'll vibe well with him that drunk, you know? Because when I'm not equally drunk, we don't vibe well. You know, you ever watch a drunk person and you're straight sober? Yo, they look so goofy and out of sorts that you'll be like, yo, do I ever look like this? But of course you do. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll be back with the finished product, okay? And it'll be shortly. Don't you worry. Okay, I'm going to put the rice on. Okay? The rice is always found in the biggest canister. And do you know I had these canisters for 7 years? As long as I wash them and take care of them, they still look as good as new. You know, when you take care of your things, things will take care of you. But I'll be back because the finished product is going to be. She's back. Pinky Promise is back. And this is the second end of the, you know, Bon Appetit special segment. And I am cooking some other pork chops, okay? So I just came back because it's time to put the onions in, okay? The corn is on, but before I do that, I'm going to get the rice together, okay? I'm trying to let you guys see more of what I'm doing, you know, but all right. I have one of these, right? This right here is 1 serving for me, okay? So I'm going to do 1.5, okay? So I can have some tomorrow. Okay, so this is my rice that's going on. Okay, I'll put that back there. Right? Come here. Come over here. Look how nice my pork chops look. Look how brown they are. Okay? They're very brown. And now that means it's time for the onions to go in. They look very pretty. I love how they look. Okay? They both, no, one side is not done yet, but it's okay. I'm going to put these onions on top of the pork chops so the grease doesn't burn them too badly. Okay? All right. Let's see. See my onions? Nicely cut. And I'm not putting all of them, okay? I'm just putting half to caramelize. And the way you caramelize onions is preferably with a meat or just searing them in your pot, you know, but don't let them burn. Okay, burnt onions and smothered pork chops is not cute, trust me. Okay, so basically, I buried the chops with onions, and I still have half left from when I put the water. Okay, because the water is what smothers it. So this is how this looks. Okay, the pork chops are nice and brown under there. If you can note it, if you can see that, and right now the onions sort of covers them. Okay, and because it's going to give that pork chop a flavor. Okay, so just for notoriety, I'm going to put a little bit more in the side of that grease. Okay, because I really want to show you all how the caramelized looks. Okay, but this is basically smoked pork chop, smothered pork chop. See, I have to keep practicing my vocabulary because I'm back new doing this. I haven't done this all summer. So I just have to start getting my words together. It's also a thing that I'm getting old and sometimes I substitute the wrong word. Those things I can't help. That's my brain getting older, and I just, thank God I do know what I'm talking about, but sometimes the wrong word comes out. Okay? So basically, this meal is all prepared and it was done in less than 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Put this butter up, and you cannot go in a room and watch TV when you make a smothered pork chops, okay? You have to watch pork chops, okay? Because they're a delicate meat and they like attention, okay? So make sure those onions are getting cooked and keep checking your chop, okay? These are going to be good. But the trick in the smothered part is getting that gravy the right color and the right texture. And I'm hoping that's what I'm doing this time. You know what I mean? But baby, it's going to be good. And I've been sort of feeling this all day, tasting it all weekend. Since I made smothered chicken the other day, it wasn't pork chops. I'm like, bitch, how the fuck do you mix up pork with chicken? But I did because my brain is older now. That's Noel calling me again, but I'm not answering. I'm not interrupting my broadcast for him to gibberish me. You know what I'm saying? Boo. I just seen him like 2 hours ago, and he did not look wasted. But who knows? Maybe he was on his way to get wasted. You know what I mean? That boy works hard Monday through Friday, so he does like to do him on the weekend, and I do not have any problem with that. It's just that some of the times I'd like to see him because I like him. I like him a lot. But we are clashing. We clash. For 5 years, we either have an argument before he gets here or after. You know what I'm saying? Making him go home or, but I still keep going back to his drawing board. You know why? Because it's nothing really serious. That's why. You know? It's not. Okay, these are going to be good, baby. They're going to be real good. Okay? So I'm going to stop this while they cook a little more, and then I'm going to come back. Okay? Okay, I'm back to just show you. See how the onions are caramelized? I had to move them all to the side of the pan, and see how dark my pork chops are? They look really good if we were eating fried pork chops, but we're not. Okay, they're dark. I'm going to turn them. The onions are caramelized enough. Okay, I'm putting them back on top of the pork chops. Okay, and I actually didn't need the whole onion. All right, so I could save some of that onion for breakfast with my home fries. Yeah, so I'm gonna take some of the grease off now, okay? Because we don't need all of this grease, okay? And normally I'd save this grease. Okay, you see, I took not all, but most of, and the onions will still cook throughout, okay? But this is how it looks right now because the frying of the meat is done and the caramelizing of the onions is done. So now, put that back on the pot. I'm going to put a top on my rice because it needs to cook now. Okay, so my rice will be cooking for 15 to 20 minutes on the back burner while I get the other part of the meal together. Okay, so let that grease get a little hot, right? And then I'm going to go back for my flour canister, right? And I'm going to do it with my fingertips because I'm just cooking for me, okay? If I was cooking for other people, I would have on gloves, okay? Hold on 1 second. My neighbor Tony got me this big thing of plastic gloves, so I will, when I'm cooking for others, that's what I'll use. Okay, I'll take a spoon and won't use my fingers, right? Even though I have one of these things in here. So let me get it, okay? All right, it's a little scooper. Okay, so I'm gonna just sprinkle some flour on the top of those onions and on the top of that pork chop, right? Just enough to cover it like that, okay? And then I'm going to take this. This is a little glass bowl. And I'm filling it with hot water. See, this is how you measure, okay? That's hot. That's ready. Depending on how much gravy and how wet you want your pork chops, you do one or you do two. Okay, this is what one looks like. I'm going to do 1.5, okay? And I'm going to just basically move my chop around with the onions and the flour, okay? I'm going to turn that chop around with all the flour on it so it doesn't cake up on the flour, okay? And I'm going to leave the other one. Now I'm going to turn that one too, okay? The onions will do what it has to do to the flavor of the meat, and this is the color. Okay, if I had cooked these chops a little darker, then this gravy would be darker. But I like this color. I don't like it too light. I don't like beige smothered pork chops. No, I don't. I like a caramel color or a brown color. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and let y'all see the last bit at the end. Guess what's done? Pinky Promises smothered pork chop. Look at that. Look how scrumptious. Look at those caramelized onions. And look how, guess what's done? My smothered pork chops, rice and corn. And this is how it looked in the pot. Okay, I'm sure my broadcast cut off. But look at the caramelized onions. They are a perfect texture, the perfect brown, okay, not overcooked. They're soft, and look at that gravy, okay? The consistency is good from the flour and the little dribbles from the pork chop. And this is a divine meal. I tasted it. The flavor is great, and I'm so proud of how it came out. And I may have cooked this on here before, but I think it was light beige. This is the perfect color and the perfect texture, and I'm going to get off of this and enjoy my meal. Okay. Oh, I only, oh my God, it's so good. Tastes like my grandmother was in this kitchen, but she is.